What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you a live casual duel with myself on the right playing Agents and Josh on the left playing Adventure Plunder. So we start off with Diviner of the Herald. We're going to normal summon her. We're going to use her effect to send Trius from the deck to the graveyard. Trius' effect to tribute Diviner, summon itself back, trigger Diviner's effect, and summon out Bhutan from the deck. So straight away, for those of you who don't know, Diviner is like a one-card combo inside Agents that basically allows you to get into the new Master Flare Hyperion, and off the back of that it will allow you to do a little bit more. In this particular duel, I don't know what it was, so I opened up Neptune and Venus, so Neptune can special summon Venus from the hand. So for some reason in this duel, I specifically went for Baron de Fleur instead, which ended up saving me, so that was a really kind of cool fluke of a play. But anyway, we're going to Baron de Fleur. I use Neptune's effect. I've also got Earth in the hand, but I've conducted my normal summon anyway. So we special summon out Venus from the hand. We're then going to use Venus's effect, and then this is where he drops a Ghost Ogre, and I was kind of like, ooh, so he left everything else to go through to Ghost Ogre the Venus, which was an interesting one. I was like, alright, okay, if he's sitting on the Nibiru or anything else that could be a bit more damaging, like an Imperm or Veiler, we'll go with it. Luckily he didn't, so I was able to activate Venus 3 times, paying that 1500 life points, and bringing out 3 Shine Balls. Now this is where Bhutan makes a massive difference, because Bhutan can banish itself from the graveyard to target a level 4 or lower fairy and make it a tuner. So if I wanted to, I can make Venus a tuner, but I believe this is the game where I'm able to loop Venus twice and use Creation Venus or Destruction Venus once as well. So we use Bhutan to turn one of the Mystical Shine Balls into a tuner, use 2 Shine Balls, one of them being the tuner, to go into Halifibrax, and then it's just basically me conducting a bit of maths to try and figure this out, because the thing is, Halifibrax can bring out a level 3 or a level 2 tuner, both of which are contained within the Agent deck. So you've got the best of both worlds. It's just trying to figure out the maths. Now, obviously, if I bring out a 3, I currently have the ability to get into a level 8 Synchro. If I bring out a 2, it will get me to a maximum of a level 7, but that does give me plays into Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch, the best thing about that, can become a level 6, and then I can get into a level 9 with the Venus. But like you can kind of see, it's trying to manipulate levels, figure out the right level manipulation in order to get where you need to go. Now, I commit into, as this is only a friendly, I kind of, luckily, I was able to kind of get away with this. So I commit into Cupid Pitch, but then the more and more I thought about it, it would be better off to go into the Link 2. So this is just me practicing the deck a little bit more. So the thought of going into Cupid Pitch here would be to search out a Neptune, but I've already used it, so really there's no need for me to do that. I'm better off making Moon, and then by making Moon, I can Foolish Burial the Majesty Hyperion, and then banish Neptune, get the Sanctuary in the Sky, and actually continue to go a little bit further. So I was able to, like I said, luckily take this one back, and instead we'll still use the same materials. It's basically just swapping Cupid Pitch for Moon. You then use Moon's effect to Foolish Burial the Majesty Hyperion, because then it can summon itself back, which is really important because it gives you a free body on the board. If I wanted to, I could bring it back, banish a fairy, and banish the Ghost Ogre in the grave, but apart from my opponent opening up like a Monster Reborn and absolutely needing to get to that, there was no need to. So we banish Neptune with the Majesty Hyperion. It's a shame that the original Hyperion doesn't have that ability to come back from the grave as well. I really wish that was a thing, because that would have been really cool. Because the Majesty Hyperion, unless Majesty Hyperion's effect was more aggressive, like the Graveyard effect is cool and all, but neither of them are quick effects. So anyway, so we go into, we get Sanctuary in the Sky off of the Majesty, off of the Neptune. We go into the Parshath Link 3. We use Parshath Link 3 effect to discard a card, which we are discarding Earth, and we're going to search out our Christia. Now, it's at this point that you've got a very nice lock. Now, if I wanted to, I could link off into a Link 3 to trigger the Parshath effect to summon down the Christian now. but you can kind of wait to your opponent's turn to get a little bit more for it. Now, I believe that set card is the Fallen Sanctuary, which is basically like the Imperm. I could be a bit wrong on that, but basically, as soon as he gets into main phase, this is where you basically do a Scythe Lock on them without Scythe Locking them. So you use Halley Firebrax's effect as soon as we get into the main phase. So he's going to use Water Enchantress's effect to search out, which is fine. I'm like, yeah, as long as it's main phase, chain Halley Firebrax to go into forming a Synchro. Now, I believe this misses timing for the draw. So the draw that I take is definitely, I'm pretty sure it misses timing because it's the last thing to happen in the chain was not the summon, it was the War Enchantress resolve. So I probably should have waited for that to resolve and then do it. But the point is, you basically sync. You go into the Hyper Flare Hyperion, or of course Baron if you didn't do it the other way around, and then you use Parshav's effect to special summon down Christia. And obviously I need to banish a fairy from the graveyard in order to finish this. I forget to do so in this particular scenario, but it's quite easy to banish. There's plenty of fairies in the grave to banish and make that successful. And then ultimately his whole hand was just special summon. So he'd open up the Griffin, he's got Whitebeard, he's got Black Eye, and then of course he's got Rite of Armoricia, which spawns him the token. So ultimately there's not a lot the deck can do against Christia, but I think what the first game shows is it shows you what the deck can do unopposed. Now obviously the Ghost Ogre would have been really painful should I not have got Baron. Even then, if you hold back the Hyper Flare Hyperion effect, then what I could have done is I would have either got Venus. So if I did go for the Hyper Flare, the Hyper Flare effect would have sent Destruction Venus. So he then would have been able to use Ghost Ogre on Destruction, the Hyper Flare Hyperion, for example, and then Venus, or he would have done it on Venus and the Destruction. So there's a couple of different routes I could have gone with that, but yes, it did need to be protected, which is where I got a bit lucky from. So you've got Rite of Armoricia. I suppose like for the Plunder matchup, this is actually pretty good because I give them basic instant access to Lice. The only thing that I don't give them very easy access to until I get to the Majesty Hyperion is Darks in order for them to get into... is it Moak? I believe it's Moak. Which is their basically Disruptor, whereas Lice is still incredibly good. So he activates Rite of Armoricia, spawns a token, gets Adventure, and he's pretty much going to go unopposed here. I don't believe I have any hand traps. I could be wrong. But what's going to be good about this game is it will show you how agents fare against an established board. Now the established board is not going to be amazing, but I believe he still ends on obviously the Omni Negate of the Griffin. And you can see that he's already opened up the Griffin again, considering he searched out Rite of Armoricia. So, yes, he's going to search this out. He's going to be able to produce a fairly decent board because he'll be able to get access to Lice during my turn. He'll then get access to... so he discards the Draco Bat. Draco Bat then re-equips to the token. Pretty standard stuff here. Special summon down the Griffin, special summon down the Water Enchantress, and then he just needs a Plunder to kind of make Plunder plays, which he does with Redbeard, which is really kind of cool. Link Redbeard and Water Enchantress together to get into Blackbeard. Sadly, the only card, which is probably the more direct card you use, that didn't get reprinted in Ghost from the Past. Like, what the heck? Equip with Redbeard, Redbeard, and then passes to me. Now, I can't remember exactly what I have in my hand. I think I've opened up Christia, which is annoying, but it is what it is. And then I've got the Water, the Sanctuary, the Water in the Sanctuary in the Sky, something, the one that's basically the rotor. And then obviously all I know is he's got an Omni Negate on board, and as soon as I put a Water on there as well, sorry, not Water, a Agent on the board, or a Light on the board in theory, he will then get an additional Monster Disruption. So this board is looking pretty... I mean, it's only 2 interruptions plus whatever hand trap he has, if he has a hand trap. A little bit more damaging to kind of beat. So it's not as straight up as forward to kind of lock down. But it looks like I've opened up Neptune, I've opened up Earth, and... I'm trying to think what else there is. So there's the Water in the Sky, which is basically going to be my rotor. See where we go. So I can search out a Hyperion if a Sanctuary in the Sky is already in play. I can't remember if I open up the Sanctuary in the Sky as well. He'll also get a draw off of the Blackbeard, which is really important. Oh, okay, I opened up Venus. This is like, if this isn't the biggest bait in the world. He's got Ghost Ogre again. It's like, no! Why'd you have to go and do that? So now I just get left with a Shine Ball. Just sits there like a piece of, not really doing anything. I mean, it's not the end of the world, because technically that can be turned into a Link Spider. But I'd much rather have Venus on the board. So I've had to play with 3 forms of interruption. Luckily, he doesn't know that I've got Neptune, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use Neptune. I'm going to try and bring back the Venus. And then he's going to Griffin that, which again is fine, because you can see that Venus is a bit of a choke point for the deck because it is so good. But the best thing that the new support has provided is that it doesn't need to rely on Venus. It can actually still do a lot without needing to kind of go into it heavily, which is really kind of cool. We've got the Water Sanctuary in the Sky, so I can either activate Sanctuary in the Sky directly from the deck or add a card that lists Sanctuary in the Sky. So he's then going to chain his Blackbeard, and that's going to get him to go into Lice, which basically gives him a free monster negate. So straight away it's like, yikes, where are we going with this? So just checking where if Lice was a monster that I control or anything, but he gets a draw. He gets to re-equip the Redbeard, which is nice, and then he gets a draw, of course. So it does need to discard a Plunder Patrol. I believe it's Plunder Patrol card. So you kind of got to hope that he didn't open up a Plunder or didn't get to a Plunder Patrol card. So I think I can search. Yeah, you basically just search out a card that lists Sanctuary in the Sky, so I can get into the Hyperions as well, which is quite important because I can get to Master Hyperion. Master Hyperion can use the effect to pop a card as well, but that's where I've got to bait the Lice out or risk that the Lice doesn't have a Plunder Patrol in hand. Because if he doesn't have that, then he can't negate it, and it's like, yeah, cool, free real estate. Yeah, so we're playing this at D20 in Watford. Really nice place. It's like a Yugioh cat, or like a calf basically. And I opened up a Shine Ball because you do. It's a calf. It's got really nice food. It's got like a back room, which is really cool to play Yu-Gi-Oh in and other card games and board games. So go battle phase. I go to attack the Lice, and then I've not looked into the Plunder Patrol synergy with the Brave Engine, and this is obviously something that both of us learn because Rob's sitting in the background and he basically says, "Hang on a minute, Lice doesn't die." I was like, "What? Oh, surely Adventure is when it's equipped with a I thought it was if a vanilla or a non-effect monster was equipped, and it doesn't. It turns out it's just any monster that is equipped with a spell card." I was like, "Hang on a minute, so the plunders are counted as spell cards?" I was like, "Yeah. So we're obviously being informed on this one that you can't do that." I mess up a couple of little bits as well, so don't worry too much. So Lice stays, and I was like, hot damn, I really wanted to... the plan was to get rid of Lice in order to then use Master Hyperion to get rid of the token. So that was really, really slightly annoying and tricky. So, and we still played through, so we've had to play through 2 negates at the moment, or 2 interruptions. We've still got a third on the board. Master Hyperion is sitting there, that he's got the ability to pop once. So I go to use the effect, and we banish the Neptune. At least that'll give me the Sanctuary in the Sky. I was just double checking that it's banished as cost, because then that's quite important. I suppose this is now the point where it's like, we'll find out if he's got that Plunder Patrol in the hand. Because if he does, then we're in a bit of trouble. So we'll kill the Lice, use the Lice's effect. Or I think it's Redbeard or Bluebeard's effect. Use the effect to summon the Bluebeard, and then obviously Bluebeard could turn into a ship, but he's already done that this turn. So I've already done battle phase. There's not really a huge amount more I can do. I've got Krista in the hand, so it's just basically about getting 4 fairies in the graveyard in order to get Christia. So we get the Sanctuary in the Sky. By activating that, I can then use Hyperion's effect again if I wanted to. But it's just making sure that I don't banish too many fairies. So we've got 3 in the grave now because we're going to go for Moon, and then we're going to use Moon's effect to tribute and destroy. I should have so I could have summoned Christia before I used the effect of Moon, but I'd use Moon first, which then makes the graveyard a little bit more difficult to deal with. You'll soon see. I kind of made a bit of a misplay because for some reason part of my brain was like, yeah, Chris is 5 monsters. So I was like, all right, okay, well, let's get the 5 fairies in the graveyard. So we've now got Majesty Hyperion, we've got a Shine Ball, we've got Master Hyperion, and we've got Venus. So I was like, right, okay, cool. Now's the time to summon out Christia. Luckily, the way I do this, so putting a 5th in the graveyard actually helps me out in the long run. So we use Moon's effect, which contributes itself to target a card my opponent controls and destroy it. Now, obviously, the token is protected once by battle. I don't want to pop the equip card because that would then just re-equipped. And it's basically trying to pick my opponent's board apart so that he loses the bounce. So I kill the token, which will ultimately kill the equip spell, which is really important. And then the best thing about this is I can banish a fairy from the graveyard to or hand to summon out the Majesty Hyperion. So I banished I think I've got like a second Earth. Yeah, so I've got an Earth in the hand. Banish that, bring out the Majesty Hyperion. I've got 4 fairies in the graveyard, special summon down the Christia. This is where I misplay because I should have added a fairy back from the graveyard. So I could have added back the Master Hyperion, which is really important. It's just very rare that you even consider the second Christia effect. 'Cause you're always like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm just going to Christia lock my opponent. So we can use Majesty Hyperion's effect. So I'm going to banish 2 more fairies. And we're going to I get rid of Redbeard and I get rid of the Water Enchantress. So it means he's not going to get a free token the next turn. Not that you could special summon it under Christia anyway. But it kind of just picks away the little pieces. And then pass over there. And then it's basically just, you know, Christia lock dot deck. You're not being able to play through that. Blackbeard can't go into anything. I think he's got Black Eyes in hand. So there's just nowhere that he can really go to do anything. Like he could, of course, get into a War Enchantress, but the issue with Christia is it's so strong that you know the average card just can't deal with it. So it's not an easy card to out by any stretch of the imagination. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the duel. He's just trying to consider out if he has got anything that can deal with it, but unfortunately he doesn't. He's got Bluebeard and Cross out, and it pretty much ends there. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, and as absolutely always, stay safe and happy dueling.